Well, good evening, everybody. This is Charlie Bellefontaine, and on the call with me right now, I have Aaron Menlove of Inspector Pro Insurance, and we're just going to go over a few things about problem solving and complaints. You're welcome to chime in on the messenger or the comments. We are watching these things, so we could go ahead and answer them as we go along. There's not going to be any pictures or anything that's going to be with this. It's mostly going to be kind of what I do, and then we're going to get some views of what the insurance company says we should be doing. And then I have a few case studies. So the case studies that I have are complaints that we've had from past clients and how we handled them and the results of those from there. So, Aaron, if you don't mind, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself and Inspector Pro and what you do and how long you've been around?
Thanks, Charles. My name's Aaron Menlove. I'm an insurance agent for Inspector Pro Insurance. I've been in this industry for 10 plus years, and I'm familiar with errors and omissions and general liability SOP insurance coverage for inspectors in all 50 states. And so I have a good background in this. I've been doing this for quite a while. A good background in claim situations, policy coverage, pretty much anything and everything to do with your insurance needs in this industry. Glad I could join you guys on the show here and add anything I can to help clarify any issues for you. So you bet.
No, I appreciate everything. So these are the things we're going to talk about: how to defend yourself before, during, and then also after the inspection. All right. So we're going to touch on the expectation speech, or the curbside speech, whatever you want to call it. Talking about limitations with our clients both during the inspection, before the inspection, and even afterwards if need be. Documenting those limitations in the report, different ways that you could take videos or photos to go ahead and protect yourself. Third party help, which is one of the reasons why Aaron's here, using either warranty services or errors and omissions and general liability insurance and taking advantage of their pre-claim procedures. And then if something bad does happen, putting out the fire, we'll go into that. But first things first, I got to throw a few disclaimers out there. All right, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. The only thing that I'm doing is sharing how I run my business. You're welcome to disagree with me. In fact, I respect that, very highly. It's your business. You run it the way you want to. All I'm doing is showing what works for me, and you're welcome to use as much of that as possible. But in no way am I telling you this is the right or wrong way to do anything. So with that being said, let's chat a little bit about an expectation speech that we have on here. And I'm actually going to give mine, all right? And then I'd love to get some criticism from people, just in case you like it or don't like it. But beforehand, I know we got a few listeners here, and Aaron spoke and I spoke. If you don't mind, click on that like button for me, just so I can make sure that, you know, everybody's able to hear us okay and that there's no problems and all going on there. So I love to see some of those. Or somebody throw a comment up there saying that everything's working good. And if not, I'm just going to keep talking anyway. So the first thing I usually ask my clients, thank you very much, I appreciate that. So the first thing I ask my clients is if they ever had a home inspection before. And that's more of an icebreaker. And if they end up saying yes, then I try to tell them that all home inspectors are different. And I'm one to ask people for their permission to explain what I'm going to do, but more importantly, what I'm not going to do. And if they say no, again, I'm just going to ask them for permission of what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. So I let them know the first thing I'm going to do is start up on the roof. And we're going to walk around the perimeter of the roof. We're going to look at the flashings, any penetrations that come up there. We're going to try and determine where it is in its lifespan of the roof. And then I'm also going to let them know that this is the one area or one of the areas that I cannot bring you up on. I usually, again, I like using this third party stuff. I like making the insurance companies the bad guys. And if you could see Aaron's face right now, like I can, he's got a nice little smile on it when I say it like that. Um, but I let him know that my insurance company is not going to let me bring anybody else up on the roof. This way, the client's not going to be mad at me. Everything that I do is to make sure that they're happy with the service that I provide. From there, I'm going to go around the outside of the house. We're going to be looking at the walls, windows, doors, lot topography, trees, how they overhang. Then we're going to go downstairs to the basement and we're going to look at what's visible of the structure. We're going to open up the electrical panel. We're going to aim the thermal imager at it, see if there's anything that's super hot in there. We're going to check for proper grounding, bonding, and all the wires and breakers are matched up to be the right size that they're supposed to be. I let my clients know we're going to do a gas sniff test on the gas pipes and we're going to do a combustion analysis on the furnace to make sure that that's tuned properly. Then we're going to look at the plumbing system and the water heater, and we're going to spend most of our time in the basement. That's where all the mechanicals are. That's where we're going to be spending our time. From there, I'm going to go through the interior of the house. We're going to do 2 passes. One of them is going to be to run all the water and the bathroom sinks, outlets. We're going to hit the outlets. We're going to look at walls, ceilings, floors, windows, doors, hit the appliances, and so forth. The second round, we're going to be going through with the thermal imager and the moisture meter. We're going to be hitting all the exterior walls, underneath ceilings, underneath those kitchens and bathrooms, looking for any sort of water leaks that are coming in there. We're going to finish up in the attic for insulation and ventilation. Then I get into the kind of what I consider the important stuff. I let them know that I'm not Superman. There's going to be things that I can't see. Anything that's behind walls or furniture, we're just not going to be able to find those things. And if they don't present themselves today, that doesn't mean that they're not going to present themselves in the future. I also encourage my client to stay with me during the inspection as much as possible. This is what I like to do. So I'm going to focus on the house. I'm going to take pictures of the issues, and then I'm going to discuss these issues with my client. I don't write the report on site. I write the report afterwards. And the most important reason why I tell them I want them with me is so that I could see it in their eyes and see if something is important to them. And that way we can have either a further discussion, but if it's important to my client, it's going to be important to me. And I want to make sure that I get anything documented that's important to there. Aaron, did you hear anything that I said that could be potentially harmful, or anything that I can add to that to, make my client understand that it's not all inclusive?
No, I love everything you've done so far, and I encourage everybody to do that. And I'm expecting, based on what you're talking about, there's going to be more that we're going to get involved in on that. But everything you've gone over so far, very personable. Being able to go over the inspection of the whole house twice is very beneficial, and it'll help put the expectations right where they need to be.
And that's the key. I found the secret to my success in this business is exceeding the client's expectations. And if you don't know what they expect of you, you can't deliver that and you can't exceed it. And then if they're expecting something that you can never achieve, well, you're going to have an angry client. It doesn't matter how good of a job you do. If you don't meet their expectations and they're unreachable, they're not going to be happy with you. And that's just plain and simple. We have a closing interview, and that's where we actually go through all the photos that we have with our clients, and we show them what's going to be in the report, so there's no surprise on that. We talk to them about solutions and so forth, and make sure that we're all in agreement with what the report's going to be written. And when we're done, we're asking for their feedback, quite frankly. Our inspectors get a bonus if our clients leave a review for them. So when our inspectors are doing their closing interview, they basically tell them, I hope you felt I was very thorough for you. If you did, and I would appreciate if you leave me a review. Just so you know, I get a bonus, so it's kind of a way of giving me a tip, and it doesn't cost you any extra money. All it does is if you go ahead and take the time and write the review for me, I'd appreciate it. So, and then that's our closing, and we kind of leave with a pretty good, strong rapport with our clients, which makes me kind of happy. So, Next one's going to be limitations and warnings. And then this is actually going to show up, I think, in one of our case studies that I have a little bit later. And Aaron, I'd love to get your feedback on this too. Um, you know, one of the things that we see is somebody might have had a leak in a wall at some time, or maybe underneath a toilet on a second floor somewhere, and they had to repair the drywall, right? So we see the extra mud up there, but we shoot it with the thermal imager. We aim the moisture meter at it, and everything is showing dry. So the question is, what do we document on that? Do we just leave it alone because it's not wet, it's not leaking, now it's cosmetic? You know what, Aaron, I'd love to get your thought on it. What do you expect your clients to do?
I want you guys, and what I would expect my clients to be writing up is what they see. Use your moisture meter and show it's dry now, but that doesn't necessarily, like you said, mean that it doesn't have a problem. Maybe it's not wet right now, and maybe there's no rain or anything else, right? But you definitely want to write in where the remodeling or where the work has been done on that drywall or anything else, and write it up as, you know, hey, this is what I came across, this is what I see. It doesn't appear to be a problem. It looks like it appears like someone fixed it. You're not guaranteeing, or, you know, that this is not going to leak in the future, but you're just writing up what you see. And that's what I like guys to write up, is what they see. So
Now, and we're supposed to do that. You know what we see. It's an old it's an old what when you got letters that make a word, and I'm drawing a blank on that. What's that called? You know, like NACHI. You know, National Association of Certified. What is NACHI? What? Man, I feel so dumb. I can't think of what that is. Anyway, we call it fog. All right. So, and this is kind of what we push people to do. So, what you were saying about what you see, that's the fact. You know, so basically you type down the condition of what it is. But people are paying us for our opinion. So, whether or not we think it's good, bad, poor, whatever it is, you know, we want to go ahead and give our opinion on these items as well. And then the last thing is the guidance. And with the guidance, though, that's sometimes the hard one. Usually it's going to be just who are you going to call to make the repair, but acronym. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I'm so embarrassed that I couldn't think of it, but sometimes the brain locks up. Fact, opinion, guidance. And in our state, in Illinois, we're mandated to tell somebody who are you supposed to call to get it mitigated, or I should say that they have to get it mitigated or they have to monitor it. And that could come in there with the guidance. So let's take that water leak and its dry thing, and you tell me if I'm making a mistake. My thought process is this. If that's leaked once or more times in that area, the person who's living in that house, they know about it. They lived there. They painted it. They mudded it up. They hired somebody to fix it. They did whatever it was. And I know we got disclosure laws here in Illinois where they're supposed to say if they're aware of any current problems, but if they fixed it, they don't necessarily have to disclose that. You know, so we actually tell them, you know, we tell our clients to go into journalist mode. And what I mean by that is the who, what, why, where, when, and how of these defects. So in other words, we got, you know, we have signs of past repairs on the ceiling of the first floor bathroom. All right. Right now it's dry according to our moisture meters. But you should be asking the sellers, when did this leak here? Who did the repair? You know, were we able to fix the repair? Is there any warranties with the repair? You know, I like to put the onus back up on the seller instead of leaving it on me. And my rationale is I'm here for 5 minutes looking at that ceiling. They're there for 10 to 20 years that they're going to be aware of. What do you think about putting something like that in the report?
I think that's great. I think that's fine. Obviously, the standard limitation of liability language to have an expert check it out, right, can also work. But if you want to go back to the sellers and, you know, point to the seller disclosure as far as them, they obviously had a fix on it at some point, or maybe it was even before them. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm totally in support of that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against, you know, bringing in other professionals. But sometimes I've seen some of these reports where, you got curling shingles, hire a roofer to inspect the roof. You got galvanized plumbing, hire a plumber to inspect the galvanized plumbing.
Right.
What?
And on your side, it's like, what benefit is this to the client getting your inspection if you're not, somehow, tailor making this, your wording here as far as how to take care of some of this stuff. And I totally understand that. So,
Yeah, and it's, I don't know. I always think is, what the hell they hire me for if I can't come ahead and make a decision? They're paying me these big bucks. I should go ahead and give them some sort of a defined answer. But on the same note, keep letting them know that if there's a lot of furniture that's in the way and we can't see the wall, remind them and even put it in the report that when you come here for your final walkthrough, these are areas that we can't see right now. Somebody's going to have to pay close attention, to these areas when you're doing it, just to make sure there's no other issues that are going to be there. So, documenting limitations in the reports. Do you guys, and you guys being, Inspector Pro Insurance, do you have any like preset limitations that you want your home inspectors to start putting in there?
well, I like guys to have some freedom on that. On our side, pretty much everybody's software is acceptable on what we're using. And most of the software is going to have some sort of limitation of liability if you're putting a problem or an issue in different sections, right? Um, as far as the pre-inspection agreement, right, there's some limitations of liability in the inspection agreement as well when you're giving this to them. And you obviously want to make sure you get this signed prior to. But yes, there are limitations that some of them are better in different states that are in all of these agreements that you're going to find. We've actually put one together ourselves on a state by state basis that is kind of tailor made for each state, that we found based on our experience with claims and issues in that state that are really helped to deal with those issues, right? So we put something together in each state with a specific agreement that has the limitations that are tailor made for that state that are really helped out inspectors, and we feel it's going to help us defend you as your insurance agent. But so yeah, I mean, I like different limitations. They're definitely necessary, and we've gone through the extra step of putting some pre-inspection agreement stuff in here as well for guys.
So let's, I'm going to do a little bit of a sales pitch here on you because and full disclosure, I am a client of Inspector Pro Insurance, all right? And I do take advantage of their agreement, and there's a reason why I do that, all right? So if you don't mind, can you explain something about, about the deductible
Okay.
and then
So
how that diminishes or whatever?
Okay. So you have every insurance policy will have deductibles, right? And the idea behind deductibles is what your share of paying out if an issue becomes a claim or an issue, right? The first part of our policy has what they call pre-claim service with it, which we're not classifying the vast majority of issues and problems that we see as a claim. They're called pre-claim. And by doing that, you're not getting hit with a deductible cost at all, number one, right? Because of our pre-claim. If it does go past the pre-claim and reaches the deductible stage, we have a couple of what they call deductible waivers, right? The first deductible waiver is the diminishing deductible, which drops your deductible 10% that you're on the plan every year, okay? You have another deductible that is called the pre-claim assistance deductible, which drops your deductible 50% just by using the pre-claim assistance group, right? So the 10% is up to like 50%. The other one is up to 50%. Those will get you closer to 75% total. They have a limit there. And we have another deductible drop of $1,000 if you use our agreement, right? So they have a lot of deductibles here. Even if you have like a higher deductible and you've been with us 5 years and something goes past the pre-claim stage, you're only going to be liable for $200, $250 total in a situation like that if it goes past the pre-claim assistance to the claim stage. Basically, what they're doing on our side here is we're doing everything we can to make it so when an issue arises, that your interest and our interest are the same. that we don't have an interest in collecting $2,000 from you and 3 months later turning around and giving it to the client as a settlement, right? And it's really good by doing that. We want to represent our inspectors, defend them, have a pre-claim work with this, make problems go away, and not get in a situation where there's incentives for the insurance to do that type of stuff. So it's really good, really good.
Yeah, I know we haven't had a claim yet with you guys, and we are using the agreement that you gave us. And so and I make sure that it's signed before we begin, and we use the ISN. So we do everything electronically with that, and we have a record of when it was signed and the IP address of when it was signed. Um, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to claim, but I really love the fact that I don't think I'm going to have a deductible if anything goes bad.
And Charles, let me kind of relate a little bit more to guys about the agreement and why insurance companies or why we or anybody else is so adamant about getting these signed or going over the limitations prior to the report and expectations.
Please.
And it's really important because there's lots of frivolous issues or people looking for money in this industry. And by having an agreement, the expense for the insurance is much less than if we don't have an agreement. If we don't have an agreement with you or you haven't done the expectations of what's supposed to be done on an inspection prior to, then our costs to defend you or make problems go away are much more money. And that's where you get into the situations of lawyers looking at, well, it's going to cost him $10,000 to make this go away. Let's go and try to get his insurance some other money less than that, and they'll give it to us to make this go away because it's going to cost $10,000 to make this go away, right? So on our side, right, and we're defending you. It's in your interest and it's our interest to make sure these are all signed prior to that all this is done ahead of time and the expectations are taken care of, so that when it happens and if someone's looking for some free lunch from you, they're not going to get it and we're not going to give it to them.
And that's what I like to hear. I like that a lot. So let's talk more. We're going to switch up the subject a little bit and we're going to start going through photos and videos. And this is a weakness that I have in our company. And it's come back to bite me a couple of different times. I managed to get myself out of trouble with it, but we had people that have accused us that a defect was there and it was present when we did the inspection, but because we didn't take any CYA cover your butt, photos, because I didn't take any of those or our inspector didn't, we didn't have any way to prove that didn't exist during the inspection. So what's your take on, photos? Which ones should be taken? And what's the best way to protect ourselves?
More photos, the better. I have had some inspectors that have talked to me in the past that, well, what if I take a photo and there's something wrong there? Am I now liable for that if I didn't write it up? The chances of that, as far as what we've seen, are minuscule versus inspectors taking photos of every room that there's no problems in. And in that exact room, 3 months later, someone's making a complaint and we're able to defend them with the photo to show what the inspector was looking at and their complaint wasn't at the time happening, right? So more photos, the better. Body cameras are great. The GoPro, I have guys that are taking this. It's really easy to save these GoPros and the cameras and the photos that you're taking, right? With the stuff that we have now that you can save this and keep them for a period of years, right? It's not a big deal, but if you have this and when someone's making a complaint on a specific area and you have a photo on it, then it's much easier for us to defend it. If not, it's your word against, obviously theirs. When I was here looking at theirs, there was no problem, and we're going to defend you, but it's better if we have photos.
All right. So are you encouraging us, like myself, are you encouraging our guys to wear body cameras? Do you like it or dislike it or love it?
I like it. I like it. I like more photos, the better for me.
Right.
I like it in our insurance provider. They do like more photos. Guys that are taking, 300 photos on an inspection is better than 100. It's better than 50, right? On your report, if you're just going to do the photos of the problem areas, I totally understand that. but to carry and have a record of your inspection and what you were looking at that time is better than not. It can be as simple as your photo of the living room and how clustered it was with furniture and how difficult it was to see anything, right? It's going to save you a whole bunch of heartache when someone's coming after you on an issue, a problem that was behind all this that they can find very easily now, right? So I'm totally in for, and we are totally in for as far as photos, body cameras, more photos, more body cameras, more evidence of picture of what you were doing at that time is better.
And just give a couple of examples. A friend of mine up here, Jamie, his company, and he's got his guys on body cameras, and they found a bad window after the client moved in. They found a bad window, and they said that no, you never tested this window. Well, he's got a video of them, opening and closing that particular window and testing it, so they proved they did it right. We have I know another friend of mine, Hank, up in this way. He takes 360 videos, so he'll put a 360 camera in the middle of the room, close the doors, step out, and that way he takes one picture of every single room. John down in Florida, he actually had somebody accuse him of damaging a ceiling, and they had the body cameras showing the guy going up there. The damage was already there, and somebody tried to blame him for the damage, but they were able to prove that the damage was there before the inspector got there. So I got to start pushing my guys to get this stuff in there, and I think I might have to put the hammer down. We'll see. And again, if anybody has any questions, type them in the chat box, and then we'll go ahead. So Preclaims, and other third-party stuff, and we'll get into some case studies in a little bit. Explain to that how that works and what you've done.
So on the insurance level, what you're looking at is what constitutes a claim and what is not a claim. What is a complaint, right? And in the definitions, you're going to find that a written demand for money, right, in most of these policies, right? So Mrs. Jones is talking with you, and she's upset 6 months after the inspections, and she hasn't written a demand or asked for money, but she's upset about the roof, and she says that you've missed it, and there's some major problems and issues here. And you're going to go back and look at that property and look at your report, and it was fine at the time, and maybe there's problems now, or maybe there isn't necessarily in your opinion, right? But what we're doing on Preclaim is it's a way to make it so that you can come to your insurance and tell us about these issues, right, without them blowing up or something that's going to be take your record on loss runs and raise your rates on renewal, right, or cost you money as far as deductible costs when these happen. Because on our Preclaim, it's free. It comes with the policy. We're not charging you deductible costs at all, right? And you do get adjuster help, whether it's Adam or Sam or one of our other adjusters that have been doing this for a long time. They're very well versed in your SOP language, and they know exactly how to do and help defend you to make these problems go away. Okay, they're dealing with this all day long. So it's what we've done to make it so that inspectors will come to us, tell us about your problem, tell us about what's going on, even if it's something that you're not sure is a big problem early on and you're worried about it, or you're thinking about it's going to be something it's going to be able to go away very easily. Don't be afraid to come and tell us about these. It's not going to hurt your renewal. It's not going to raise your rates, right? It also helps in situations where if you're dealing with a client that today has a complaint on an inspection and it seems pretty small and you're going to make it go away. And what if it doesn't go away? What if in 6 months, right, later, 6 months time later, now they want $30,000 on a roof, right? And now you come to your insurance 6 months later on a complaint or a claim that was 6 months ago you got started on, you thought it was small. On a lot of these insurance policies, you can be denied coverage if you don't give timely notice, okay? If you have a car accident or a home, your home has a damage or something, and you wait for 6 months to make a claim on your car accident or as whatever, you're not going to get coverage, okay? And so for Preclaims, we offer an opportunity that you're going to have Preclaim working on it free of charge. It's not going to hurt you on your renewal, okay? And it also is something that if this turns into a big issue later on, right? A big claim of $30,000, $40,000, when you thought up front it was something small that's going to be handled for a couple $100, that you've already reported it. It's not something you haven't reported, and you reported it. Okay. So I encourage guys, even on smaller stuff, just let me know. It's a simple phone call. I'll let the adjusters know, hey, he's going to take care of it. It's something small. He's going to take care of it. He'll let us know if it progresses. It doesn't hurt you on renewal. Doesn't hurt you there. I have bigger accounts, right? Bigger inspection accounts, guys that are doing higher revenue numbers as far as their inspections business. If they come to me on renewal and they haven't had any issues or pre-claims, I'm almost expecting, I'm like, okay, what have you not told me? There's got to be something out there. I know you can't do this much business without have somebody upset with you about something, right?
It's law of
impossible.
averages. Yeah,
It's
a numbers
impossible,
game.
right?
Yeah.
So just tell me it's okay. It's not going to raise your rates. We're not going to be upset. I'd rather have this out here and helping us and help you on the pre-claim. And I can even just put it through pre-claim and the inspector's going to handle it. It's just a notice. So we've made it very easy and very insurance friendly for inspectors to come to us and tell us about these issues, so that it's not something that, yeah, hey, you know what? You didn't tell your insurance about an issue or a problem after 6 months. Well, I didn't know it was going to be a big problem. Well, it should have been reported then. You're not going to run into that with this with pre-claim. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and I like it a lot. And I want to add to it, because we've had a couple of pre-claims things that go through, and the way that it's handled, that I view it from the inspector side. My inspector has to write up a letter stating what he did. All the report has to be issued. They get interviewed. Usually there's some questions that come back and forth. They go to the person who's making the claim, in this, and we'll bring this up as one of the case studies that I'm going to have here. We had a humidifier that when we tested it, we noticed that it was leaking. All right. So we cleaned it up, the water that spilled on the floor. We turned the water off to the humidifier. We notified the homeowners that it was leaking, and we turned it off. The homeowner went and turned it back on in the wintertime because they wanted to get the humidity. They noticed it wasn't leaking at the point of time, so they walked away. And then all of a sudden, about 2-3 weeks later, they're getting dripping coming down into their kitchen, through the floors and that. So they're and the seller of the home, we ended up squashing the deal. So the seller was still in the house. They didn't change hands. And he was an attorney, and I think he was kind of a bully. So he knows the laws, and he knows he can run up costs, and it's not going to cost him anything to do it. We sent it to you guys, and you go through that whole process, and it's just the letter that came by there. I'm like, I felt like I hit a bodyguard. I felt like somebody was going in the ring for me. I'm like, don't mess with this guy. He didn't do anything wrong. You're coming after us for frivolous. We'll even turn it back on you, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't hear a single thing from that person after that letter was sent. So
yeah, I would suggest that if it was a homeowner, it might have been a little less threatening. But if we get something from an attorney, we kind of go to the gloves right away with our experience.
And I love it. I got to tell you, it was nice having you guys in the corner. So
yeah.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is, let's say we do get a claim. And again, this is just me, all right, that I'm talking about how I like to handle it. So I've been in the fire service for about 37 years. And one of the things that I've learned, and every time we get a new guy coming in there, they're like, what do we do? What do we do? It's like, put the damn fire out. If somebody's trapped, or, we're worried about exposures or floors coming down, once you put that fire out, all the other problems go away. All right. Everything's cleared up. So I try to treat a complaint from a client or anyone else as a fire scene, so I want to get back out to that property as soon as I can. I'm going to drop everything that I can, and as soon as I can get that earliest appointment, I'm going out there. I'm taking pictures, I'm looking at the report, and I just want to see, did we make a mistake? That's the bottom line. And I do believe in doing the right thing at the right time. doing it the right way and doing it for the right reason. All right. I know I'm not perfect. I never claim to be perfect. I don't expect any of our guys to be perfect. I know that mistakes are going to happen. But what I really believe in is how we as human beings handle those mistakes is what makes us good human beings. All right. But I can't also save the farm. I can't be I'm not an insurance agent. That's not the business that I'm in. People are paying me for my opinion. I am going to have a reduced liability. We're not hiring an electrician, a plumber, a heating contractor, a roofer, all the other things that are coming out to look at a house. We're lumping all those things in there at a very reduced price. If you think about what we charge for all those different services that we're actually providing. So it's in Illinois, we actually have three case laws that that have held up the what is it? The limit of liability, right? So to the fee paid to the inspection. And then, so we got three of them here, and the courts agree, that we're not allowed to pay more, or not allowed, but we shouldn't be expected to pay more than whatever that fee is. Now, I have paid more than the fee, guilty of it. If one of the case studies I'll bring up, we ended up paying about $2,000 for the repair of it, because I really feel that we should have caught that, all right, and we didn't. So, but I did
Hey,
contact
Charles,
you
can I add
guys.
one note to that?
Yeah, please.
So the limitation of other liability language that you have in your agreement and on your report is some claims or issues is going to be valid, and the judge is going to uphold that if they feel like you did a good inspection and in their opinion this is a frivolous issue, or the client is going outside of what you did on SOP, right? They're going to rule in your favor, basically agreeing with your limitations. Okay. If you have missed something, if there is a big failing on you upon an inspection, which does happen, right?
Yeah.
If there is something like that, then they're going to throw out the limitation in the agreements on this, right? If there's some big money item that you've missed on your report, that's what happens. It is there for help us make issues or frivolous issues or something where they should be making a claim on this. But if we do a bad inspection that they can prove didn't follow SOP and that you missed this, you're going to see that get thrown out, and they do too.
Wow, that's yeah. What and that frightens me a little bit. I like having that confidence that it's very strong in my state, and we actually
It is strong, but it's just do a good job, do the best job.
always.
And what I mean by not inspecting, inspectors missing items, I mean, figure a guy that's really shouldn't be in the business and he's going to write up a report from his house or his car and never went in the property, right?
Okay, that's fraud.
That's
Absolutely.
fraud. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. There are situations where you have out and out just people that shouldn't be in the industry, shouldn't be carrying insurance, shouldn't be doing inspections, right?
True.
And they need to be gone. And in those situations, yes, it's going to be a lawsuit that the judge is going to throw out, hey, you're not liable for only $500 here or $1,000. No, you missed some big items here and you're liable for that. Okay.
That makes sense. What about my thoughts on reaction time? What's your take on that?
Reaction time for us is key. If you've noticed, when you submitted a problem or an issue to us, you should have got the adjusters or capital claims management, the pre-claim team. They would have sent you an email that, hey, we've heard about your issue problem. It should be within 1 or 2 days tops.
Oh my God, it's usually less than a day.
Less
I should
than
say
a day.
usually. It's only been like 4 times. So, yeah.
And then you'll find that one of the adjusters is getting on the letter and responding and getting it on top of this within a day after that, or 1 day. So this is not a situation where problems or issues are metastasizing and becoming cancerous because you're ignoring them and the fire is burning and somebody's getting angry thinking that you're avoiding them. This is a situation where your insurance and us are defending and getting engaged with these people to let them know that this is going to be handled one way or the other very quickly. It's not going to be left to just sit and stew.
That makes a lot of sense. And the next thing I got on my list are waivers. So let's say that I do want to pay for something. Should I just cut them a check, or what are you going to help me with that as far as an insurance carrier?
So you're more than welcome to do something like that. We can provide you with limitation of liability waivers or release forms, right? They're a release form that once you've taken or said, I'm going to give you $500 and recognize that the rest of the inspection is complete and good, you'll make them sign this, and they have to sign it, right? If you're not getting a release form signed, right, and you're giving folks help or money or anything else, just recognize that this is just a start, and they're probably coming back to you on anything and everything else in this house that needs to be done.
That makes a lot of sense. I do have clients every now and then, they just want to take advantage of us. And what I mean by throwing under the bus, I'm actually going to hold that off till the next slide because I'm going to talk about a lintel thing that came above or came amongst us that we kind of made go away. Being cooperative with your client, I firmly believe that. You know, if they call you, you call them. They write you, you write them, and you call them. The more that you can communicate with them, the more that you show you care about your client, the more they feel that they're not being, well, that somebody's not just trying to commit fraud. The bad thing in our profession, we do have some con men out of there. We have people that come into our profession, and quite frankly, it's too easy to get into our profession. I keep telling people that here in Illinois, they're issuing the 12,800 license in Illinois, and that's over a 20-year period. But we still only have 1,800 licensees. So that tells me that, you know, roughly 10,000 people over a 20-year period came and left this profession. All right. And usually somebody's going to leave or go, and I want to say probably 80% of them would leave within the first 2 years, probably because they got some complaints or people told them they did a poor job, and maybe they actually did do a bad job. So they come, they go, but in their wake, everybody in our society is a prejudicial society, you know. So now all home inspectors and that person are the same, and all home inspectors are a bunch of buffoons. And then those of us that choose this as our career, we're left having to defend that. All right. And we try to take our jobs really serious. So the sooner that you can show that you care about your client, the better off that you're going to be. So, you know, we're about 40 minutes into it. I like to keep these things under an hour and that, but there's a few case studies I'd like to talk about and give a scenario. So the cracking lintels. We had a house that was about 15 years old. Wood frame construction, brick veneer home, about 4,000 square feet. Every one of the windows with the steel lintel above it had a hairline crack. So if this is our window here, we had a hairline crack about 6 inches to the left and to the right of the window. All right. And I know that when steel rusts, it expands, plain and simple. And the first stage that happens is we're going to get these cracks here and here when that happens. That to me does not mean that that lintel has failed. All right. So we took pictures of those. We put them in our report. We advised our client to monitor these things or these windows. The client moved into the house. They decided to get a second opinion and hire a mason who specializes in replacing lintels. He informed my client that all the lintels needed to be replaced and it was going to be $2,000 a lintel. Well, there were 20 windows. So this person, you know, wanted to know when I was going to be mailing him a check for $40,000. And so I got out there right away. I chatted with them. I told them I'm going to stand behind our inspector's opinion of those things, that we do think that that's a minor issue. We don't think that it's something that warrants a repair right now. You probably got another 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know how long it's going to be. But if you want to go ahead and give this guy $40,000 to replace these, go ahead. But then you better start budgeting, you know, $1,000 to $2,000 a year, because you're going to be doing it every 15 to 20 years, replacing these lintels. And then I throw him under the bus. It's like, I think somebody's trying to sell you something that you really don't need. And then they want me to pay for it, and it's not going to happen. So What's your thought on that? I mean, I stood my ground on this one, and I'm big on reviews. All right, I do not
We,
want unhappy clients, and
we,
but
we
this
see
one
a
I
lot of this. You get a lot of, different contractors, new roof, HVAC system, windows, lintels, you name it. If they can get someone else to pay for it, then one, the client that they're talking to isn't going to pay for it, and number two, they're not going to get bids on it, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, it's notorious. You'll see it that somebody's making a claim against you on the roof, and they talk to their neighbor down the street who got a new roof from their last home inspector, right? So, so yeah, I mean, it's out there. It's there's a lot of it going on, and we just do a good job of fighting that and defending you.
Now something like this, and it's gone away, and this was about 4 years ago, so I don't think it's coming back. I'm gonna confess, I didn't tell you guys about it. I didn't even think to tell you about it. It's not that I'm trying to hide anything, but I didn't. That's a mistake, isn't it?
If it comes back to you, it could be something that you should have reported. And so you want to tell us about it. It's not going to hurt you on renewal. It's not going to hurt you with us. It's not, oh, we got to raise Charles' rates because he had an issue or a problem for $40,000. It could have been a claim. We don't view it like that. We view it as Charles is doing his due diligence. He's a good inspector. He ran into the wrong client. That's what it is. That's how we view it, and we would treat it as such. So yeah, just go ahead and let us know. Tell us about these issues,
Now,
and if it comes up later, you've already reported it. Yep.
now you're not going to reach out to the client though, unless they reach out to you, right?
My discretion as your agent is, hey, Charles called in. He has an issue on a pro client with Windows. He's going to take care of it. He'll let us know if it progresses.
Okay.
Right. So it's up to my discretion when I'm talking with you about the issue or problem. You come to me to do that, and you reported it, but you're in charge of it. They won't reach out to the client at all.
Gotcha. The next one is something we did report to you guys, and you did help us with the waiver on it. One of our inspectors did an inspection. They moved the electric panel from the original one. The original one was a 60 amp panel. They pulled the guts out of that and spliced in the service entrance cable, but they ran a number 6 copper wire over to the new panel, which was a 100 amp panel. My guy just missed it, plain and simple. He knows that number 6 isn't rated for 100 amps, and they also spliced in the grounding electrode conductor because that was originally at one location, and he didn't document that either, and he marked it up as a 100 amp service. So we did the inspection in February, and he didn't notice any issues with it, but again, he didn't notice the wire size. He just took it for granted it was 100 amps. Summertime moved around or rolled around, and they turned the air conditioning on. The house, the lights were browning out every time the air conditioner kicked on. They called the electric company. They look at this, and they're like, it's a 60 amp meter panel. It's 6 gauge wire, it's a 100 amp service. The GEC is spliced. There was a big long list. All right. So we ended up, I got out there right away, and, I'm like, yeah, we should have told you. I'm sorry. I said we were wrong. All right. And I'm not afraid to do that when we're wrong. All right. So I worked with the client. He was like he looked at me surprised, at first. He goes, wow, I didn't think you would, I thought you would argue this. I said, no, we take great pride in what we do, and when we're wrong, we're wrong, and this was a mistake. I already talked to our inspector on it, and he's like crestfallen, and he's so apologetic, it's unbelievable. But guess what? He learned from it. So that's a good thing. So we were able to find a electrician in the area, pull permits, and it was less than $2,000. And I actually kept the fee, so I didn't refund the fee. So that helped pay for part of it. And then we just coughed up the $2,000 for him. And then you guys ended up giving us a waiver to go ahead and release it. Is that okay? Good. I saw a thumbs up. You guys can't see this. I could see him.
When we've done the waiver for you or recognize it, then you've informed your insurance. So yeah.
Beautiful. All right. And then we got 2 now, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in writing and give this to you. One of them, we have a brick front, and then on the side of it is a stone, and then the roof ends right at that corner, right where it comes in there. We just recently had some real heavy rains, and it was coming down in such a hurry that it was splashed through a gap of about a half inch that's there. Now there's a downspout right in front of the gap, and even when I went looking for this crack from the outside or this gap from the outside, I couldn't see it. But on the heavy rains, the water was coming into the ceiling of the bathroom there. They had another bathroom above it, and they thought that the bathroom above it was leaking, so they cut open the ceiling in the first floor bathroom, and they were able to peek up there, and you could see the daylight from that opening, and then you could see where the water was coming in. Now there's no mold, there's no wood rot, but you could see water stains. And then when we do the painter's trick on it, you could see that they've had leaks there before and it's been repaired before. So I talked with the inspector about that, and this kind of goes under our push it back on the sellers. They obviously knew it leaked here. They painted it, they repaired it, they did it numerous times. We're looking at something for 5 minutes. They lived there for 20 years, and then they're reaping the profits from this house, and then we're left holding the bag on it. So I think we're going to try. I think the repair of this is going to be simple, but I am going to put it in writing and get you guys notified on it. But again, I just don't think we should be held when something's not presenting itself. And but in this case, we were able to see the past repairs. They did exist there, so we should come to it. The last one is a shower seat. So this is a $1 million home in the North Shore here of Chicago. They recently redid this master bathroom, and I mean, you go in there and your jaw drops because it's just so gorgeous. And it's all big solid pieces of stone. But when you shoot the water over on the shower seat, it actually started leaking down into the kitchen. So I did get there right away. We were able to recreate it. It's probably a simple sealant fix that's going to come in there. Um, they did make a claim to the warranty companies. We do purchase warranties with our inspections, and they're stepping up and they're going to be paying for this one. So this brings me back to you. Is this something that I should notify my insurance agent when the warranty company is paying for this one?
Yeah, just put it as a warranty claim. It could turn into something else and just put it as a notice. It's an easy phone call with me or whoever your agent is, and it should be about 1 minute phone call, right? Hey, you had an issue here. I don't think it's going to turn anything else. I'm just going to take care of it through the warranty company and leave it at that. Pretty simple.
Okay.
You never know when something small is going to turn into something really big that you wish you could let inform your insurance on. So
No, and for that I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you, Aaron, for your time and talking for this. I know for me, I always pick up something new. So for that, I say thank you. And if anybody has any questions, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. Um, you got anything to add? Any final notices or?
yeah, just if anybody is, if you like more insurance information, you can call me out direct. I think I'm pretty easy to find. It's Aaron Menlove, Inspector Pro Insurance. I have a phone number direct, or you can email me, right? And if anybody needs to get in touch, Charles has my information as well. But yeah, it's just I like inspectors. I like guys having doing a good job, being professionalizing the industry, and I like them having good coverage too, and me being their agent. I like my job.
Aaron, can I impose on you? Because I know you're in our group and you answer a lot of stuff. Would you mind going to this post and you're going to find it in the guides, all right? Would
Okay.
you mind going there and just put your name, your phone number, your email, a link to your website, just so that people could find you and get it on there. So I'm going to leave it as nobody's perfect. All right. I'm not perfect either. In fact, I always refer to our business sometimes as the whack-a-mole machine. And I don't know if you remember that when you were a kid, that mole popped up and you hit it with a hammer or whatever. And one of the reasons why I like doing these videos, because there's a lot of stuff that I believe in my heart are true. All right. And I know that if I say it in a video and I put it up there, if I'm wrong, there's going to be a lot of guys with hammers that are ready to whack me down, all right, into that hole. And but that's a good thing. I'm all right with that. I have enough confidence to say that I'm wrong. I'm cool with that. And it just makes me look stuff up, verify if I'm right or wrong, and then hopefully I can learn and make myself better. So, which is ultimately the big audacious goal. We just want to be the best that we could be. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn this thing off. We got a couple nice compliments from people in the comments. So, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this now.